Hello, everybody. How are we doing on this fine Sunday evening? Let me know how you guys are doing. How you guys spent your day out there today, or this weekend all together. I am Chief Meteorologist Joel Putzman here, adjusting my monitor, and my camera's a little down, I guess you could say. There we go. And this is there's an echo. How about now? Did that fix it? We should be good now. I'll give it a second. It's been a little bit since we did a live stream, so a little bit of audio probably issues, but perfect, we are good. So welcome to Sunday Night Weekly. It is August 3rd. I'm quiet. How about now? All right, good. Make sure you turn up your volume before we get started here. Also, make sure to hit that like button as you're coming in. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that gear in the bottom corner. We are live in 1080p, so make sure to switch it over if you're watching in non-HD to switch it over to HD. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and go through a couple things tonight. The main topic for this week is obviously the continued smoke that's been going on out there, but we are also starting to ride the roller coaster up towards hotter temperatures and higher humidity into the back half of this upcoming week, and perhaps a couple chances of storms mixed into the week as well. So we're going to get started by going over the cloud cover through the next couple of days, the next 7 days, I guess you could say. Right now we have a lot of high pressure sitting over us right now, and with high pressure what's happening is the air is very dense and it's not allowing clouds to form, so we've had a lot of nice days out there with no clouds and low humidity this week, and that'll continue going into tomorrow. We'll fast forward into tomorrow morning here for cloud cover. This is through tomorrow morning into tomorrow afternoon. Cloud cover out there going to be mostly to partly sunny. We move into Tuesday, that kind of remains the same. It starts getting more towards partly cloudy skies. And honestly, as I fast forward through all of these days here, you're going to see kind of the same trend. A lot of partly cloudy skies out there, but once I switch off of this screen to the actual precipitation, you'll see where the precipitation will start to come in. So you can see here's Tuesday. A lot of partly cloudy and mostly sunny skies. Go into Wednesday, same story there. Michigan, by the way, is in the center of your screen up here. It's a little small, but unfortunately with the GEM GDPS model, it is a little far zoomed out. So you guys kind of have to bear with me here. This is going to be going into Thursday. A lot of partly cloudy skies there as well. Perhaps a little bit of a system moving through to the north up in the UP. Then we move into Friday. This is where we start to look for our storm chances start to increase. We see a low pressure system moving in across the Dakotas, and that could affect into the Upper Peninsula by Saturday and into the Sunday time frame, perhaps into lower Michigan. So that is your cloud cover. As you can see, it's kind of scattered pretty much every single day this week. So sunshine is possible on all 7 days this upcoming week. So good news there. The bad news is as it gets warmer, it'll also start to get more humid and more stormy as well. Speaking of storms, we're going to check out that Euro model run for the Michigan and Great Lakes region. It'll also show you nearby states such as Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio are also visible on this run through. So this is the Euro, ECWMF, as was also called, for the precipitation potential through the next 7 days. We start off by going through Monday, tomorrow, and not a whole lot going out there in the state. As mentioned, high pressure is still sticking around out there. The little green dots you see out there across the state in a couple of select locations are not going to be too much of a concern. As we move into Tuesday, same story here. Not a whole lot going on across the state of Michigan. A couple pop-up storms down in Indiana and over into Minnesota, Wisconsin. But overall, we stay relatively dry across the state. Then on Wednesday, we start to watch out for some pop-up cells, perhaps in southeast Michigan again, that are temporarily there. And we see that perhaps move over towards Lansing again. We have lake breezes that will kind of influence the weather throughout the week. Same thing that we usually see in the August months here in Michigan, where the lake breezes start to come into effect and storms start to billow up in the middle part of the state away from the lake shores in general. So this is Wednesday, around 5 o'clock, a couple pop-up storms possible across the lower peninsula. Then we move into Thursday, perhaps a little bit of that little tiny trough comes through up there in the upper peninsula, and that will last from Thursday morning through about Thursday afternoon. and a couple pop-up storms are possible across central and northern Michigan Thursday evening. Then we move into Friday. This is where the weather starts to get a little bit more unsettled. Looks overall rather clear out there for your Friday. Pop-up storms are possible across the Upper Peninsula. We don't really have any expectations for storms in the Lower Peninsula, thankfully, so it should be a overall nice and clear Friday night for your upcoming week. Then we do have to look into Saturday. This is where the models kind of start to disagree a little bit in terms of the storm placement, because in the summer, MCSs, our mesoscale convective systems, are a little wonky. They like to kind of throw themselves in random directions. So if you back it up actually and watch this here, you can see this is going to be the funkiest thing ever. In Iowa, a MCS pop up and actually retrograde back off to the west there towards Omaha. So we have these weird, wacky systems, these MCSs that come through in the late summer months. They've always been going on through July, but now here in August as it's peak summertime. That's just something we have to look out for. Anyways, as you can see, we move into Saturday here. Perhaps another Boeing segment moves through Minnesota and Wisconsin, but again, with those tiny shifts possible throughout the week, that Boeing segment could either go north or it could swing back down south. So we have to watch this closely. GFS probably has something a little bit different as well. The GFS is going to be a little bit less reliable this time through, as weather model data for the GFS is slightly worse than the Euro is at the current time. Then we move into late Saturday, perhaps another line segment comes through, so it looks like Saturday morning and then perhaps Saturday night into Sunday for the Upper Peninsula in northern Michigan. And then because there's a little bit of a low pressure system actually off to the east of us, so other states' weather does impact us here in Michigan, but there is a low pressure system that is modeled to be kind of moving up the east coast of the United States, and what that's doing is that's actually blocking the weather over here in place. So we could see, stalled storms, for example, and any systems that are trying to get through may also stop and stall out as well. So we could see prolonged rainfall, storms over back-to-back days. So if that low pressure does comes to fruition and does block up on the East Coast, up in like the New York City area, then we could see a system move through on Saturday, stall on Saturday and Sunday for the state of Michigan. And so right now, we're projecting just pop-up storms for Sunday, but there's a good chance that this could formulate into some sort of system that kind of just stalls out and brings widespread storms to the area. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that as we get into the later portions of next week. But as it stands right now, there are no major implications for severe weather on the horizon at the current time. Obviously, again, that's going to change throughout the week as we get into the weekend, but we start off nice and less humid and cooler in quotation marks, being in the low 80s. And then we get up into perhaps 90 by next weekend. We'll go into temperatures right now, but first, we're going to jump over to the dew points. So let's go ahead and click on the map here and find our handy dandy. Let's go to the National Blend of models. This is just a widespread average of all the models we use here at MSC, so like the Euro, the GFS, the NAM, and a bunch of like other dozens upon dozens of other models that all kind of formulate into this sort of average, the NBM, as visible on the scene here. So this is Michigan for tonight. So this is temperatures as tonight. So nice warm night out there. Temperatures in the low 80s across the state, perhaps in the 70s in some cool spots. But that's not what we're here. We're going to go into dew point first, if I can find it here. Did they not have dew point? They definitely have dew point. There it is. Here we go, dew points. So we go into Monday. As you can see, widespread across the state. Dew points are barely getting to 60. A lot of places will only see the mid-50s across the state. Again, 60s are going to be more common along the lake shores where there's a lot more moisture available. So humidity tomorrow, not too much of a concern. And then we move into Tuesday. This is when it starts to head up a little bit. So you can see now there's a little bit more of a rise across the state. Temperatures in the low 60s for dew points. And again, anytime you get into 60 and above, that's when it starts to get a little bit uncomfortable. It's not the worst in the world, but it's starting to get there essentially. So that is Tuesday. Then we get into Wednesday. You can see the green starting to get a little bit darker here. Now we're getting up to that 65-degree range, so it's climbing the roller coaster. UP still a little bit more tolerable up there. Temperatures in the low 60s for dew points. And this is as of around 2 in the afternoon. There's 5 in the afternoon, and then 8 o'clock at night there. So again, temperatures getting about to 65, perhaps closer to 70 down there by the border in a couple select locations. But for the most part, statewide temperatures for dew points on Wednesday are going to be between 60 and 65. So not bad there. Then we move into Tuesday, or we move into Thursday, the other T day. This is going to be about 5 to 8 o'clock on Thursday, which is about when peak heating is happening. And you can see here, most of the state is now at 65-degree temperatures for dew points. couple locations starting to increase into the high 60s, and we could be peaking at 70, perhaps down by the border there, where there is a little bit of corn sweat ongoing. So that is your Thursday. Then we get into Friday. A little bit of the same story there. There's not too much of a jump from Thursday to Friday. It's still kind of sitting in that high 60s range. Saturday is the day we'll have to watch right now. A couple of the models picked apart are kind of hinting at low 70s. As you can see here on the NBM, this has right about 70 for much of the state. Maybe still around 69 to 68 degrees for other places up north and in central Michigan for Saturday. And then Sunday is going to be likely our hottest day of the weekend, where temperatures will probably get to 70-degree dew points on that day. But again, it's still a little bit far out. We'll have to watch this dew point fluctuate a tiny bit as the week goes on. We'll have a better idea as to whether or not these 70s will be sustained for Saturday and Sunday as we get towards probably that Wednesday to Thursday time frame. So that is your dew points for the upcoming week. And it will just continue into the start of next week, which there'll be a jump back down next week, but the dew points are going to increase for the weekend upcoming, so keep that in mind. Now the last thing you guys are likely wondering about here is your temperatures for the upcoming week across the state. We'll get into that right now. So here is your day tomorrow. So we start off rather cool across the state. Temperatures in the mid-50s, not too bad. Jump up to near 80 across the lower peninsula. A couple of spots up there in the southern and upper peninsula, close to 80 as well. Otherwise, mid-70s is the story for other locations along the shorelines of the lakes. Obviously, with the wind influence off the lakes, right now temperatures are always going to be cooler. We're not quite to that time yet where the temperatures in the waters are always going to be warmer than the air temperatures. That'll flip here probably in the next couple of weeks. And that's when we have to start looking towards perhaps lake effect season, which unfortunately is coming up soon. So we're not there yet. For those who are new to Michigan, lake effect is going to be a word you hear a lot from us here at Michigan Storm Chasers in the coming months. But again, once that temperature flips, once we have the lake waters become warmer than the air temperatures, that's when we start to, hint at lake effect season coming up soon. But that won't be for probably another 2 months at the earliest. We still have a whole month and a half left of summer here in the state of Michigan. So breathe easily. We have a nice long stretch of warm weather upcoming that you don't have to worry about that dreaded LE word. So good news there. We go into Tuesday for temperatures. It gets a little bit hotter. You can see we're climbing that roller coaster for temperatures as well as dew points. About low to mid 80s there across the lower peninsula, just barely eclipsing 80 in the upper peninsula. Then we move into Wednesday. Still kind of climbing up a little bit. Now we're starting to get to 85 across portions of central Michigan. Central Michigan's going to warm up a little bit quicker than southern. And then we get into Thursday. Pretty much widespread 85 at this point, closer to 86, 87 in some spots as well. And this is where it really starts to kind of hammer us down, where temperatures are showing signs of 90 degrees for portions of central and southern Michigan, and perhaps downslope of northern Michigan as well, where the elevation drops off. Could see some temperatures up close to like 87, 88 up there near Alpena and Sheboygan. So keep that in mind. Temperatures around the high 80s, maybe just barely getting to 90 on Friday, and then Saturday is going to be the day to watch for widespread 90s across the state. Again, this is the NBM, so this is just an average of all those models like I mentioned. When you pick apart the short-range models, they'll likely show temperatures that are higher than this, and we'll obviously point that out to you day by day as we get into the latter portion of next week. So this is Saturday. Temperatures, that's a very hot colored maroon out there across both the lower peninsula and the upper peninsula. 80s expected across both peninsulas, all 83 counties. The only relief I can see on here is probably going to be up there in Copper Harbor and perhaps over in the Porcupine Mountains, and as always the lake shores where the waters are obviously going to be in the mid-70s this time of the year. Hopefully no upwellings to deal with next week as well for next weekend. And then we have Sunday, which we start to climb off. I don't know how, I don't really think this is as accurate as when you pick apart the actual models, because some models have a cold front moving through a little bit earlier on Sunday. And again, that cold front does depend on what's happening off to our east with that low pressure that's blocking us over, that is projected to block us essentially in the New York City area. So these temperatures that you see right now for Sunday are likely going to be a lot higher than they seem if that low pressure does block it off and hold the cold front back off to our west for Sunday. So keep that in mind. 90s are expected for both Saturday and Sunday next weekend, and obviously we'll make adjustments as needed as the weekend comes closer. Up there in the UP, temperatures closer to the low 80s, perhaps even in the high 70s, as always. So anytime you want relief, just go up to the UP. It's 5 out of the 7 days a week. Usually warmer than, or usually cooler than what's happening down here in the lower peninsula. So that is, I believe, everything in terms of temperature, dew point. We can also go into smoke real quick, because I know that is a bother for some people. So we'll have to go to wildfire and air quality vertically integrated smoke. Go back to 18Z. So this only runs through the next 48 hours. So you can see a lot of those purples that you see on your screen. So once you get towards the lighter blues, the purples, and even towards the pinks, that is the denser the smoke, and it just continues to circle around us for, unfortunately, it looks like the next 48 hours. So this is through Tuesday night. As it stands right now, the air quality alerts are in effect through Monday now, so they've been extended another day, unfortunately. And as you can see here on our HRRR run, which is our only model that really kind of shows our smoke forecast for the next couple days, this has smoke lasting in the state of Michigan, unfortunately, through Tuesday. So we're having nice weather right now, and again, it's continuing to be dampened by wildfire smoke. I will say this. If you are upset about the wildfire smoke, about everything that's going on, I did just release a post on our Facebook page explaining why this keeps happening, why our wildfire smoke is sitting around the area when it is always our nicest weather. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, it's actually pinned on our Facebook page at the very top. It's basically an educational piece. It took me like 2 hours to write it, and it's about 1,000 words. So it's about a 5-minute read, but it gives you a good idea of why this is all happening right now in terms of both from a meteorological standpoint, with the high pressure that we're dealing with, and with the resources that are available up in Canada. So feel free to go give it a read if you haven't already, and hit that like button if you like the post, I guess. So this is our wildfire smoke projected through Tuesday, and unfortunately it looks like we'll have an air quality alert on Tuesday incoming, likely extended by sometime tomorrow. So that is your wildfire smoke forecast. Going over to our severe weather forecast for the next 3 days, guess what? Clear across the board. There's a chance for thunderstorms again on Wednesday up in the UP mainly. And I mentioned a slight chance at pop-up thunderstorms on Wednesday for the lower peninsula, but right now the Storm Prediction Center is not seeing that. So not expected to have that much in the way of thunderstorms from the SPC standpoint, and that's likely what we'll see, as it is still a little too dry to get those pop-up storms widespread throughout the state as we get into the mid-portions of the week. But once we get towards that back end of the week, that's when we start to look for our severe weather chances and our thunderstorm chances in general. So remember, the more humid it gets, the more moisture is in the atmosphere, and the more chances for clouds to develop and become strong to perhaps severe thunderstorms. With that all being said, here's our projected, or with all that combined, I should say, here's what we put together down here, right below me, of the 7-day forecast for 4 different regions across the state. So this is southern Michigan. So if you live in Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Lansing, over to Flint and Lapeer, and points south, so down to the state line, this is your forecast. It's an area-wide forecast, so this will vary by around 5-ish degrees. Obviously more than that if you live along the lake shores, because the lake shores kind of have their own microclimate. But this will vary about 5 degrees depending on if you live in a warmer or cooler location. So 83 tomorrow, unfortunately smoke moving in there. When I looked at the forecast when I made this earlier, unfortunately smoke was not in the forecast for Tuesday, now it is. So smoke will likely be expected here on Tuesday, partly cloudy skies. Pretty much throughout the week, again, sunshine is expected. That's what I said here at the beginning of the stream. You can find sunshine every single day. It just depends on whether or not you can find it in between the smoke and perhaps a couple instances of pop-up storms. So mostly sunny, partly cloudy skies dominate the work week, Monday through Friday. Then we get into Saturday, Sunday. As that humidity rises, storm chances increase as well. I put low chance of storm on Saturday, but at the current time, it appears that the system blocking us off to the east is going to keep things rather dry for the lower peninsula on Saturday, but maybe not so much on Sunday. So that's how it stands right now. The Central Michigan forecast, which is north of that line I mentioned, so north of Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Flint, up to the M72 region, which I believe is Cadillac, over to, I think, West Branch. So that's Central Michigan here. Kind of the same story, added another symbol for pop-up storms on Wednesday and Thursday possible, otherwise partly cloudy skies. And obviously that Sunday time frame is the time frame to watch for thunderstorms in more of a widespread manner. Northern Michigan, storms more for Thursday, and then pop-up storms Saturday, Sunday. Humidity also there. Not to mention, obviously, on all 3 of these graphics, 90 degrees is possible Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Northern Michigan, a little bit cooler, 88, 90, and 89 next week. And otherwise, to start the week, mid-80s all across the board. And we get into the Western Upper Peninsula. Tomorrow will be a nice day. Temperatures in the upper 70s. And then we get into 80, 83, 84. Partly cloudy skies through the middle of the week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, storms start to increase. And we could see those widespread storms possible on Saturday alone, making Saturday kind of a washout, but still humid with a high of 89 where it is not raining, obviously, because when you get that rain, it cools things off around 10-ish, 15-ish degrees. So something like that. And that humidity, as the cold front moves through, likely Sunday, again, it depends on what that low pressure system is doing off to the east. We'll see less humidity on Sunday for the Upper Peninsula. So keep that in mind. And that is our 7-day forecast for all 4 zones across the state of Michigan. If you would like to see these, they are posted on our Facebook page and our X page. I believe we also posted them on Instagram. I know for sure they're on X and Facebook. So feel free to go give us a follow on those platforms and check them out if you missed any of your zones on here. So again, no severe weather expected really in terms of like a large term system or a large scale system, between now and Friday. Saturday, Sunday is when we have to start looking for perhaps a widespread severe event. If anything, it'll just be strong thunderstorms. But again, when the temperatures get so hot and the humidity starts to increase like this, you never can rule out a larger system. But as it stands right now, throughout the week, pop-up storms are possible. Otherwise, enjoy your partly cloudy skies. Just mix in with a little bit of wildfire smoke in the meantime. So that is it, I guess, essentially for the content for this Sunday Night Weekly. I will go ahead and turn to the comments now. We'll try and catch up here because I've been rambling for how many minutes? 20 minutes? I seem to do that here on these Sunday Night Weeklies. So open up the stream. Sorry if you heard an ad there for a second. Also want to shout out Jacob M, becoming a member for 10 months. EF0 member, thank you, Jacob. Also one of our Discord supporters. Robert, member for 13 months with an EF1 membership there. Keep up the great job, he says. Thank you very much, Robert. You guys are awesome. Go ahead and put on our wildfire smoke map here. Yeah, no problem. That post today took me a long time. But as you guys know, for those who have followed our page for a long time, I do like to put in an educational piece every once in a while, and it can get a little bit long and a little bit tricky to understand, but I try to dumb it down a little bit. So I guess this is the time to open the floor to questions. Back and find any here. See, we're talking about meeting up in person. So from my personal standpoint, if you see me in public by myself, usually I'm not doing anything important. So feel free to say hi if you notice me. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point soon. So don't be afraid. I can be extroverted, but I think guys are talking about Ryan here. Not as much as a people person. When will temperatures start to go down for the year? Historically speaking, that will be the end of August. September, obviously, when you start to change into the fall equinox. Again, that would be September 21st, 22nd. our average temperatures to start August are in the low 80s. So right now we're in that stretch of around average temperatures right now until tomorrow into Tuesday. That's when it starts to go above average again. But we really have to we start to go down into the high 70s at the end of this month, and we really start to see that change drop off once we get into September. So from a climate standpoint, climatologically speaking, usually start of September. During the 80-degree days, not the 90 plus the humidity. Just moved to Grand Haven from the Ionia area. Big temperature difference, absolutely. You'll notice the changes drastically. It's two totally different climates. There is still potential for severe weather. Severe weather is actually still possible. August is, again, we're in August now, and August is still a summer month. The entire month is technically summer. Kind of hard to think about it with going back to school and everything, but summer does last through the entire month of August. So severe weather chances continue throughout the month. The climatologically, can't speak. From a climate standpoint, the greatest tornado risk is usually like southern Michigan through the Corn Belt up into the Midwest and the Dakotas around this time of the year. So again, we usually see a second severe season in August, September, not unheard of, and even in October. So unfortunately, severe weather is still possible. We can obviously get up to November, but our peak months still left are going to be August and September here in the state of Michigan. So if you're new here to Michigan, we really get severe weather we saw it starting in March this year. Last year in 2024, we saw it at the end of February, but usually March to around September, early October is the peak for severe weather, with the end caps being our peak season. So middle of spring, start of fall. Middle of summer, you guys saw it this year. Throughout summer, we had pop-ups upon pop-ups. We didn't really have any set system. We haven't really had a bona fide system in, oh gosh, it's been almost 2 months now since I think it was like middle of June. But since that point, it's just been pop-ups. They haven't really been associated with any big system. They just kind of pop up, produce severe weather, pop down at the end of the day. We get that a lot during our July and August months, and June as well. But April, May, start of June, and then August-ish, September-ish, that's when we start to see our big systems start to kick back in. And we're not out of the threat by any means yet, but we're not seeing any big system yet on the horizon. Now, I will say this: I think it was CSU. There's one learning model out there that shows the accumulated supercell composite for week 1, so it'd be from here through the next 7 days. Week 2, which would be 7 to 14 days out, and week 3, 14 to 21 days out. There was a hotspot for 7 to 14 days out for primarily Michigan up through the Midwest. Kind of that same spot I just mentioned, southern Michigan, the Corn Belt up into the Dakotas. So historically, it would be matching up historically speaking. We'll have to see if it verifies, but right now, medium range to long range models hint at the middle of the month being a decent shot at seeing widespread severe across the state. So that'd be closer to probably the August 13 through 17 timeframe, obviously just off of this forecast. And again, we'll have to see how this upcoming week plays out too, because there is a chance that we could see a system on Saturday and Sunday. But as I keep mentioning here, no big system currently in the forecast, unless the MCSs decide to say, hey, we're going to head straight for Michigan now. So we're playing it by day this week, but at the current time, no severe weather on the horizon in the short range. Medium range, we'll have to keep an eye on it. Got a $5 super chat from Sue. When will the air currents change and stop funneling smoke into us? So that bubble of high pressure with our clear weather is going to start to break down starting around tomorrow into Tuesday. You can see, actually, if you go back to the wildfire smoke map, it does circulate. So the center of the high pressure, everything spins clockwise. So as I loop this through, you can see the center of the high pressure kind of is still staying over us even into Tuesday a little bit. So it starts to break down on Tuesday. We'll still have it tomorrow. Tuesday starts to break down a little bit. Those winds start to change a little bit. And it appears that Wednesday will be the day that the wildfire smoke will start to filter out because low pressure will start to filter in from the west. We'll have to see though. Again, it all depends on what's happening out to our east. So later half of this week could vary very greatly depending on how that system off the coast of the Carolinas, which is currently where it's at, moves up into the east coast. So I keep mentioning it, but again, this goes to show you that weather in other states does affect us here in Michigan. Also, so we had Suzanne with a $5 super chat and Sue P back for month number 8 as an EF1 member here on YouTube, saying appreciate all you do, keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Sue, for that very nice comment. Thank you for rejoining the team for month number 8. If you would also like to become part of the team, hit that join button down below if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're just watching on YouTube and haven't subscribed yet, it is free to do. Yeah, it is a little frustrating. Obviously, you know, you want to enjoy your summer, and the wildfire smoke makes it hard to breathe, but there really is not a whole lot that they can do. Again, Canada, I explained this in my post that I made this afternoon that took me 2 hours. But for those who want the Cliff Notes version of it, I guess essentially is Canada. It all goes back to when they first settled the country. That reasoning being is there is a large, like the entire Hudson Bay region essentially. There's this giant, I think it's like a big metamorphic rock shield. It is called. I got to go back and look at the name for it because I always forget how to pronounce this. It is called Precambrian rock, and that is very hard to build on. So what happened is they settled on the areas that were not Precambrian rock, and that is basically the areas that are within an afternoon's drive of the United States, essentially. So like within 4, 5, 6 hours of the border. So anything north of that, it's basically unsettled, minus a town here, a town there, and like 1 or 2 roads that go through the wilderness. But other than that, it is completely unsettled. It is all wilderness. Canada is the same square mileage, about 100,000 miles bigger, square miles bigger than the United States. And it is all forest. Again, no roads to get through. And so you don't really have the opportunity to put boots on the ground and bring like tanker trucks and stuff out there because there's no access. There's no roads to get out there. The only way to fight the fires would be obviously through aircraft, and even then you have to fly to certain places to get water, refill, and then obviously get fuel. So there's that. It just takes a lot. It would take a lot of aircraft to fight the fires out there, which, by the way, are burning at multiple millions of acres. So by time that, essentially, if you had like a crew of 4 aircrafts going to fight a fire, by the time they go and refill, the fire's already grown twice the size since they've put water on it, essentially. So again, the efforts, they are fighting the fires. Don't get me wrong. They are fighting the fires, but they are fighting the fires that are at greatest risk to communities that are closest to towns, and so that way they're minimizing the loss of life, loss of property, essentially. So if that makes any sense to you guys, essentially they would need a lot of roads to get to these fires, which they obviously cannot get to. So unfortunately, they just let them burn, and they only tackle the ones that are closest to civilization. So again, the post explained it a lot more. I can't speak. Explained my thoughts a lot better. It is frustrating, but again, Canada really it's basically impossible to fight those fires out there right now unless you have a large worldwide effort to just bring in hundreds upon thousands of aircraft, which I don't know. That's something that people have to figure it out, and you know, you guys can use your voice, but unfortunately, Canada does need the help, and they can't do it by themselves. So that's all I can say. That is correct, Gabriel. Evapotranspiration. Corn sweat is another fancy word for it. Corn evapotranspirates a lot more than pretty much any other crop, and obviously being in the corn belt down there, there's your answer. Yeah, we only have a crowd of about 250 of you guys in here tonight, but that's what it's usually like on a rather quiet, said the Q word. I can say the Q word without getting in trouble tonight because there's no severe weather expected, but there's a rather quiet evening out there. Not a whole lot going on in the upcoming week besides the gradual rise in temperatures back to our unfathomable levels, or just what's the word I was looking for? I don't know, unfathomable is the 75-degree dew points, whatever the one, disrespectful, sorry, 70-degree dew points coming in later this week. So not really any chance for severe weather. That's really the TLDR of it. Since it's rather quiet, I will go ahead and read through our sponsors here before I head off for the night. Starting off with our longest standing sponsor, StormGuard Roofing Construction, based out of North Metro Detroit. Got Lifestyle Exteriors, based out of Central Michigan. Katz Roofing and Siding, based out of Potterville, Michigan. Pro Powder, based out of South Haven. Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding, based out of Sanilac, St. Clair counties. Got McKay Tree Specialists, based out of Southeast Michigan. Kuiper Tree Care, based out of West Michigan. FBI Buildings, based across the Lower Peninsula for all your barn dominium needs. Got On Top Roofing, that's based out of Livingston County, surrounding areas. Snyder Commercial Building Solutions, and Shield Public Adjusters, both based out of Lansing. Top Gun Roofing and Exteriors, based out of West Michigan. A-Class Construction and Restoration, based out of Mason County. Rainbow Restoration, based out of Kent County. Rapid Radios, a Michigan-based company for all of your LT wireless walkie-talkie needs. It's also our trusted partner for chasing communications here at MSC. Got Guardian Technologies for all of your security camera needs, based out of Burton, Michigan. The Ronald McDonald House of Detroit, based out of Detroit, obviously. Feel free to donate to their charity there, calling the number on your screen or visiting their website online. And we also have a sponsor whose graphic will be up here soon, American Arbor, based out of Three Rivers. That is in St. Joseph County. The number to call there, that is an arborist company there, so that is, again, Three Rivers, St. Joseph County, 269-244-8524. You can also visit them online at www.americanarbor.net. Again, that's an arborist company in southwest Lower Michigan. Those are all our sponsors here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Feel free to give them your business. Again, they're all trusted partners. They've all been background checked, vetted personally from us here at MSC. And at any times there's severe weather ongoing, you can always reach out to us during severe weather events to get in touch with these sponsors themselves. We have Chandler and Andrew always on standby in our messenger during our severe weather events. So feel free to check them out. If you missed any of the phone numbers, they're always scrolling on the top of the screen up here. Or you could just pause the video, go back and rewind and take a screenshot of those phone numbers there. So again, thank you to our sponsors very much. Also want to shout out our sponsors, or our our moderators here in chat tonight, moderating the crowd. Thank you guys very much for volunteering your time and efforts. Appreciate you as well. See if there's anything else here. I do not believe so. So we will go ahead and put the 7-day forecast back up as one last check. So this is Southern Michigan once again. Here is Central Michigan. About the same thing there. 80s going to 90s by the end of the week. Northern Michigan, a gradual rise to around 90 degrees by Saturday and Sunday. And lastly, the Upper Peninsula, temperatures starting out into the high 70s tomorrow. climbing up into the mid to upper 80s by the end of the week with thunderstorms possible there on Saturday. No severe weather expected over the next 3 days. Good news there. Enjoy the next 3 days. And other than that, since it's a very quiet stream out there tonight, we're going to go ahead and hop off. Just myself. As I head out, feel free to hit that like button, hit that share button. Feel free to share this with any of your friends, so you don't even have to share the stream. You can just share via word of mouth. What we do here at Michigan Storm Chasers, again, we guys got you covered from beginning to end for all severe weather events and just weather in general, 24/7, 365 days a year. So feel free to word of mouth tell us about our operations here at MSC, and we love to see new members here all the time here at MSC personally. The goal is to keep everyone weather aware across the state, and the best way to do that is by following us on Facebook, Michigan Storm Chasers with the blue verification mark. We just hit 463,000 followers today, on our road to 500,000. As always, video updates can be found here on YouTube, youtube.com/@MIStormchasers. And coming soon will be our 24/7 weather camera network, which we are excited to launch here in the coming weeks. So make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. Again, our YouTube account is MIStormchasers. We are likely going to open up a second YouTube page specifically for 24/7 cameras. But until we announce that, the place to watch those right now will be here on our YouTube page. Again, Facebook does not let us stream 24/7, so you'll have to watch only on YouTube for our weather cameras, essentially. So keep that in mind. Again, Facebook is very limited in what we can do there, so YouTube is the place to come. Again, our channel name is @MIStormchasers. We have 61,600-ish of you guys here subscribed on YouTube. And also on YouTube, we are closing in on 100K. We'll see if we get it by the end of the year, so feel free to hit that subscribe button today. And by becoming a YouTube subscriber, which is free to do, you may also win a gifted membership from us or other members here at MSC. So just an incentive. For those who are wondering about our weather camera network, we are at 22 release now. We have a couple more that we are going to announce over the next couple days. So we're about at 27 or 28 cameras now, I think, give or take. So we have a couple more to announce, and we're closing in on 24. We have 22 released. We'll be over 24 by the time we release a couple more in the next couple days. And again, if you want to become a weather camera sponsor, feel free to contact us. If one of the mods wants to put the link in the chat here on YouTube, feel free to do that. But Ryan is the guy to contact, Ryan@MichiganStormChasers.com. If you have a good sight line you would like to share with us for our 24/7 weather camera network. We are always looking. The cost of that is, I think it's like a couple grand. But again, you're doing the entire state a great service by having a weather camera up. It'll be up 24/7, and if you have a business you would like to sponsor, that logo will be put on the live camera. So it's a good trade-off. If you would like to sponsor a camera, it is totally optional to do, but it is an option. We're always looking for more sponsors. So that's a little bit of a tidbit on our cameras. Other than that, I am going to hop off for the night, enjoy a little bit of food, and have myself a great Sunday evening. I hope you guys also have a great Sunday evening. Again, I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma signing off for tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Without further ado, we'll see you guys next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers for a video, a live stream, or a briefing. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything here. I'm just checking the chat behind the scenes. Oh, the cams. Yeah, I can go through the cams real quick. I do have them pulled up. Gosh, I have a few pulled up right now. I'll go ahead and full screen. Change the cam. There we go. So here's one of our cams. This is from Ryan's residence there in Lenawee County. One of our new cams from Stanwood. Stanwood, Michigan. That was courtesy. This one is courtesy of the Stanwood Market. Got Storm Guard's camera in Lake Orion, Michigan, down there in southeast Michigan. Beautiful, beautiful view of the sunset, the hazy sunset. This is one of our best cams here, the Manistee West cam atop the Hampton Inn riverfront in Manistee. A little bit of a marine fog layer going on out there too. One of our newer cameras from Safety Glasses USA in Three Rivers, Michigan. The Charlotte Fire Department with a west view as well in Charlotte. Got the Guardian Technologies headquarters there in Burton, looking south. There's our Manistee North cam, also atop the Hampton Inn. And Apex Restoration in Grand Blanc. And those are all the cameras I pulled up right now. We have a lot more, but I do not have the rest of them pulled up at the current time. So, yeah, if you would like to become a camera sponsor, there you go. So I'm going to head off for the night. Again, the link to become a camera sponsor is down there in the comments here on YouTube. And we'll catch you guys next time here at MSC. Make sure to like and follow on the way out. See you guys later. Have a great night.